When I awoke the next morning, I immediately went outside the cave. The sun was just starting to come up, and this was the first day of my 5-day work week. It's time to get going. I headed straight for the potato cellar. Today is a salt gathering day, and I have a long way to go. I grabbed my turtle shell and picked up 10 potatoes to eat for lunch. The turtle shell is pretty light without its load of salt, so I'll carry the potatoes in the turtle shell. I headed off down the potato patch, walking as fast as I could. After I had walked a ways, I turned to the left to cut across the potato field. I walked past row after row of potatoes. The left side of the potato patch is just as wide as the right side. I finally saw the mountains again. The closer they got, the faster I walked. When I reached the mountains, I started straight for the top. I was really anxious to see my ocean again. I saw my ocean and headed on down. I was anxious to walk on the sand again. I turned to the right and walked along my ocean. When I reached the river, I stopped and took a drink. Then it was on to the tuna pond. But it looks like there's no tuna today. Past the pond, it was just me and the ocean. Finally, I reached my salt pond. The first thing I did when I arrived at the salt pond was to set down the turtle shells and potatoes. I was very hungry after that long walk, so I immediately ate the 10 potatoes. That really hit the spot. It had taken me 4 hours to walk here. It's going to take me 4.5 hours to walk home carrying the heavy salt load. If I hurry up and load up with salt, I might get back in time with a little daylight to spare. So I went to work scooping out piles of salt and filling the turtle shell. It didn't take me very long to fill it completely up. I then stepped out of the salt pond back up on the sand, picked up the turtle shell with all the salt, and placed it on my head. I then turned around and started back for home. I walked along as fast as I could. Along this stretch is just me and my ocean. As I walked along, I paused for a moment. I thought about my beautiful ocean and all this sand I was walking on. I decided that this type of place needs a name. I think I will call it a beach. After inventing the beach, I decided to continue walking on. I walked past my tuna pond, and again, no tuna. Then it was on to the river. I was really getting warm carrying all this heavy salt. When I got to the river, I stopped and took a big drink. Then I continued on. Soon I'll be back to my mountain. I continued to beach, and soon I reached my mountain. As soon as I got there, I headed straight for the top. As I approached the top, I decided to stop and take a break. The hard climb to the top of the mountain with the heavy load of salt has made me start to huff and puff. As I took a few moments to catch my breath, I took the time to gaze down into my beautiful valley. I decided to gaze over to the far side of the valley to see if I could identify the lake I had discovered. After steering across to the far side of the valley for the longest time, I finally noticed the lake that was nestled right up against the base of the mountains. From the mountain I was standing on, the lake looked like a very far distance away. I also noted that my river at the end of the potato patch is the river that connects to the lake. I'm definitely going to have to explore the lake on another day off. After catching my breath, I took off down the mountain. I soon reached the bottom in record time. As I left the mountains, it felt good to be back on flat ground. As I hustled along, the mountains got smaller and smaller. Soon it was just me, the salt, and my potato field. I kept walking real fast and was making good time. It wasn't very long before I reached the center of the field, then made the right turn towards home. It really felt good to finally be in the home stretch. At long last, I had my potato cellar in sight. The salt was getting heavy, and I was getting tired. As soon as I arrived, I turned right around and set the salt down in the turtle shell in my potato salad. That way, it'll be right where I need it tomorrow when I bring back some fish to salt. I had carried back enough salt to salt 160 fish. Since I preserve 40 extra fish every day, that should be enough salt to carry me through the rest of this work rig. The next thing I did was spend a few moments thinking about the time that I've used up so far today. It had taken me about 4 hours to walk from my potato cellar to the salt pond. I spent less than 1 hour gathering the salt and standing at the top of the mountain looking down on my valley. It took me another 4 hours to walk back home, maybe a little bit longer. The salt was heavy and I was moving a little slower. Then I looked up in the sky to see where the sun was. It hadn't started to set yet, so I'm guessing that there's maybe 1 hour or a little more of daylight left. Maybe I should relax for the rest of the day. Tomorrow and the next 3 days after that are going to be long, hard work days. I have to go catch fish and I have to dig potatoes at night. Since everything in the potato cellar looked fine, I decided to turn around and walk back over to my cave to relax for a while. But just as I started to move that way, something got my attention. I noticed that there was a funny odor coming from the direction of the place where I butchered the lamb. I need to check this out. As I approached the place where I had left the leftover lamb parts, the smell became overwhelming. This really stinks. Most of the smell seemed to be coming from the part that I had named the guts. The smell was so bad that something in my stomach didn't even feel right. I'm gonna have to do something about this. I'm gonna pick up the guts with my club and carry it off into my potato patch, far enough away that the smell won't be too bad. I scooped up the guts with my club and started to walk off towards the right in my potato field. I carried those lamb guts a long way from my cave and potato cellar. When I thought I had gone far enough, I just dumped them off into the potato field. Those guts really stunk. And now my club stunk too. I turned around and quickly took off back towards my cave. I just hope that the stink on my club goes away. I decided to head straight for the cave. When I reached the cave, the club still smelled bad. So I decided to walk over to my spring, splash out some water, and wash off the club. Maybe that will get rid of the smell. And that's what I did. As I splashed water all over the end of the club, it began to smell better and better. Pretty soon the smell was all gone. I really felt lucky. By the time I had washed all the smell off my club, the sun had set and it got dark. Before heading into the cave to get some sleep, I decided to reflect on my upcoming 4 work days. Each of these days will be a fishing trip and potato digging at night. Each day, I will need to catch 50 fish, eat 10, and bring 40 back to salt. Each night, I need to dig 10 potatoes to put in my potato cellar. The next 4 days are going to be a sequence of long, hard days. I also took this opportunity to remind myself that my entire retirement saving strategy depends on my being able to catch and salt 40 extra fish each of the 4 days. If something should happen and I am unable to catch the 40 fish, my retirement planning will fall apart. Now that I appreciate my place in the universe, it's time to go into the cave and get some sleep. When I awoke the next morning, the sun was just coming up. I went straight to my potato cellar. This will be a long, hard day, and I need to get going right away. I'll need to head to my river, catch 50 fish, eat 10, and bring 40 fish back to salt. After I get back, it'll be dark. I'll need to go out and dig 10 potatoes. And that's what I did. When I was finished digging potatoes, I went right to bed. I followed the exact same procedure for the next 3 days in a row. Fortunately, there seemed to be plenty of fish, and my fish catching luck held up. By the end of the week, I was dog-tired, but the work week itself had been an outstanding success.